Hi everyone, it's Knox at South by Southwest. I'm here with Amanda Russell, author, speaker, blogger. She wrote the Influencer Code, and we're going to talk a little bit about influence and what community means and some of the projects she's working on today. Welcome, Amanda.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
Thank you. So let's talk a little bit about influencers. That's a subject you're kind of passionate about. And really, is influencer now a bad word?
It's a great question, and I guess it depends on who you ask and what comes to mind. But the reason that I really became passionate about the subject and started teaching influencer marketing, especially at the business school level, is because it is such an important part of business. It is how business becomes business, and yet it's being conflated, and there's a lot of misconceptions around it being like, for lack of a better term, like a Kardashian or a social media star. And if I think we need to really come back to look at what is the definition of influence. The influence is the ability to create action. And action could be a thought, could be a way of thinking, whatever it is. And if you think about anything in this world, whether you're a person or a brand, a person of one who wants respect, whether you want a promotion, whether you're a brand that's launching or you're a big brand that wants to create more market share, you need to be able to influence your audience. And influence is different than persuasion. It's different than attention. People think that a bunch of followers or likes is influence, and it's not. You can be aware of something all day long, but it doesn't mean it's going to influence you. You're going to do something about it.
So that's an interesting point, because when we work with our clients, we talk about sales funnel, right? And where your activities in marketing are going to influence or impact the sales funnel. And too many people are focused, in our opinion, at the top of the sales funnel on awareness, right? And I think what you're talking about and what I've read in your book is, and what I saw you speak on earlier, is that as you build relationships and as you build communities, that influence changes dramatically from just awareness to further down the sales funnel, to consideration and then purchase intent.
Yeah, and I think also the sales funnel is something that we've used for a long time, but I think it's changed in the way we make decisions now. But to be really clear, like, awareness or top of the funnel marketing is one part of the equation that equals influence. So when almost every brand or business will say they want to do something that increases awareness. Great, but increasing awareness and creating conversion or signups or membership, whatever it is, are two different things. However, you need to have awareness to create conversion. It's a given. It's like that has to happen. But in order to create influence, it's not just awareness or attention. It's awareness. If I were to give you a formula, it would be attention plus trust plus benevolence equals influence. And I used to say attention plus trust, but then I realized that when you ask people about trust, it's very vague, and they will say, well, expertise, because I will trust somebody that expertise, and that's actually not necessarily the case, as we know with the media and with a lot of like quasi people that we follow and listen to. Actually, we need to believe that somebody has our best interest. And so, for example, if I go to a doctor and they tell me that I need surgery on my leg, they have a lot of expertise. But my parents, my brother, my friend, my partner will all have more influence on me. Even though they might not have medical experience, they can say, no, I don't think you need surgery. I think you need a second opinion. I think you've just worked too hard. And all of a sudden, I now trust my brother, sister, partner, whatever it is, more than I will trust a doctor. So I don't believe that expertise equals trust. It's attention plus benevolence plus trust, and that's influence. And really, influence is not persuasion. It's being the magnet. You're not trying to push against something. That's very transactional, and it might cause some temporary change, but still the river flows one direction, and you're building a dam. It's just going to break through.
Excellent. So really, the other thing we tell people is it's not B2B or B2C. And you talked about it earlier, human to human, right? You form a relationship, and you might be how deep is that relationship, right? And you used a great analogy earlier. You want to share that one with me?
Yeah, I use this. I think this one resonates, but relationships are not created overnight. And if they are, that's or unless you have like a 6-hour drive or something. But like what I'm saying is that relationships take time to build. So we want to, when we are trying to create marketing strategies or create influence, really lasting community takes time to cultivate. It takes building trust, building benevolence, all of these things. You wouldn't say that your relationship with your best friend was built because you went up to them last weekend at a party and were like, I think you're fashionable, I think you're cool, I think we should be friends. Here, I have a really nice boat, and if we're friends, you can come on my boat. Like, that wouldn't go over so well.
Right.
But however, we're doing that in business.
Right.
We've got all these benefits and bells and whistles, and so develop a relationship with us. Or here's money to somebody with a social media following. Here, hawk my product, or here's my product to use. That doesn't create any form of relationship. It's built over time, and I use the example of building a house versus like pitching a tent. Because houses, you need to create the infrastructure and the foundation, and really great houses last. They last through storms, they last for many hundreds of years, versus like a cabin or a tent. But we want to point to that. Humans that's our DNA. We just want to have things easier and faster. And so we see these overnight successes and we point to them, or we point to the exceptions in the rule without realizing that a lot of them have had like a 10, 15, 20 year infrastructure build. Or there is the exception to the rule, but it's like going viral. It's like winning the lottery.
Right.
It's not necessarily even sustainable either. So in terms of building community, it is building real relationships. And think of the example you mentioned, as I'm recalling now, is it's like marriage versus a one-night stand. And that seems to get the students' attention real fast. That's what relationships are, and it's a similar outcome.
Excellent. So how in a digital community do you build relationships? Our theory is you build that benevolence through adding value over time, right? So we call it two things. One is how are you going to add value through your content strategies and what you're publishing? But two, how do you build your own digital validation of being someone that's known for the topics you're talking about, so that people do trust you and go, oh, I've seen the human side of Amanda Russell. She's gone through this, she's done this, and she's executing it from what she's publishing and sharing and how she's adding value.
It's a good question, and I think about it differently now. Very recently, I used to be in the forefront kind of when YouTube was just brand new and no one really knew about it. And I didn't get into it to be a YouTube influencer. That wasn't even a term. It was really a project, and I used fitness because I was an athlete, and that just happened to be what I did all the time, and it was so real to me and authentic, that term. And the reason I've shifted very, very recently in how I think about this is because I did a very big shift in my career and wanted to not be known for fitness and wanted to kind of eclipse that. And also, I never created a real Instagram account. I never created a LinkedIn following or any of these followings. I wanted so badly to be out of that social media spotlight, because I had a chip on my shoulder that I was just known as this like tool doing jumping jacks in my apartment on a YouTube channel. And now I feel like I've worked really hard to check all these different boxes in areas that I thought validated me, like in business and academia and all of these different boxes that I felt like I had to check to take myself seriously. And now, just in the past couple months, I'm like, okay, but in order to be known, you actually have to get back out there. I wasn't ready to do that until I felt like I had checked those boxes on my own. So back to your question of like, how do you build this following? I don't think it's, let me think about what I want to be known for. Yes, a lot of things will tell you that. And I've read books and I've taken classes and I've taught classes that I've taught this. Figure out what you want to be, which is great. However, when it's forced, it doesn't feel real. If I were to have said to myself, this is why I go back to this years ago, and I would have said, I want to become a YouTube star, which did not exist, and I'm going to be a fitness star. It would have been that I would have had overthought it. And somebody recently came up to me to do a show. and they're like, we want you to be the female athlete, like whatever it was, mental health, as executive, blah blah blah, and here's the content. And I remember reading the whole business plan and the pitch, and thinking, that is a side of me, but if I were to do an entire content platform that was created by this company, that is forced content, that's not authentic and that's not me. And when I look back, my community, and I think you can a lot of your other leaders here that have actual very big communities, like Mark Schaefer, will know that their content it's not like they're forcing themselves to be somebody, or they're getting up every day and going, what can I possibly say that's going to add value to Henry and Susan, my personas? They're just being them, doing them. It matters to them, and I think that's one of the magical differences between people or brands that are successful versus not. There is some je ne sais quoi, like that authenticity factor that you cannot fake, and I also don't think you can define, but you feel it, you know it.